Harley, Harley, I'm trying to record a video. Don't have kids, y'all. Hello, baddies, especially my bookish baddies, because I'm back with another book video. It's your girl, Brandy Nikhil. Thank you for tapping in. And today we are going to take it kind of back. And I'm saying we're going to take it back because I'm going to be talking about something that I've loved since childhood, but it's not really taking it back for me because I still love it. And that is A Series of Unfortunate Events. So this is a book series I discovered in the 5th grade. I was going to Linden Charter Academy in Flint, Michigan, and my teacher at the time, her name was Miss Brown. No, look. Anyways, her name was Miss Brown, and she started to read to us from A Series of Unfortunate Events. And something about the series gripped me, and I've been obsessed ever since. So since the 5th grade, since I was 10 years old, I am now older than 10 years old. Mind your business. And I still love these books. So I have the full series. They did a movie back in the day with Jim Carrey. Watched that, loved it. But they've most recently done a Netflix series with Neil Patrick Harris. And when I say it's phenomenal, like, I almost could not ask for more. I say almost for a couple reasons, but that's not why we're here today. So I brought out the first book. There are 13 of them. This is the first one. And I do like a reread like once a year of the whole series because I love these books. I love them. I don't have no shame in my game. I love them. I be tapping in with my inner child by reading them, and they make me feel good in all of my warm, fuzzy, nostalgic places because I truly am a pretty nostalgic person. But anyhow, today I want to talk to you about the life lessons that I learned from these books. I started reading these when I was 10, and so these are life lessons that I've picked up, and every time that I reread the series, I'm like, it's doing a little something. As my friend Kiki would say, getting a little oily, like a little holy oil on that. That was good. And so I want to talk to you about some of those life lessons. And let me preface this with saying this. I have always been an avid reader, love to read. And I love to read fiction books. And so when people say like, oh, I don't like to read, or they only like to read like nonfiction. I think nonfiction is great. I read a lot of nonfiction. I've written some nonfiction. I think it's amazing. But I think people sleep on fiction because they feel like if I'm not learning, then, all is lost or whatever. But I think there is a lot of power in fiction. I have learned a lot of life lessons reading about the characters in a fiction book, getting the theme from a book that's fictional. I have learned a lot. My perspectives have been shifted from fiction books. So if you are one of those people that does not think, if you are one of those people who does not think that there's anything in a fictional book for you, think again, because I promise you there is. So let's get into life lessons that I have learned from A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. His real name is Daniel Handler, but his pen name for A Series of Unfortunate Events is Lemony Snicket. Life lessons I have learned. First lesson, being well read it can do some things. It can change the trajectory of your life. It can save you a lot of trouble. It can get you out of a lot of trouble. So in this book, it's about 3 children. They're all orphans, and they go through a series of unfortunate events. And a lot of what they are able to overcome comes from their knowledge and their ability to research and recall things that they have read or learned over the years. So it just goes into that power of being well read. Like, we don't put enough power, enough attention on how powerful it is to have information. Like, because we have information at our fingertips with books, a lot of times we don't feel the need. Did I say with books? Child, clearly I don't have information. Harley, Harley, I'm trying to record a video. Don't have kids, y'all. Anyways, we don't put enough emphasis on how powerful being well read is. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that we have so much information at our fingertips with our smartphones, our iPads, etc. So we don't feel the need to like retain information or be able to recall where we learned something because I can just Google it right fast. But the ability to retain and recall information is still powerful. It can still change and or save your life. So in this book, a lot of the ways that they overcame challenges, and I'm talking life or death challenges, it was because of their knowledge. It was because of something they had read or they recalled or they retained. So I think that is the first lesson. Second lesson, good intentions are not good enough. So in this book, as these children go through this series of unfortunate events, they come across several adults who are so well intentioned, who want the best for them, but their actions do not align with their intentions. Not that they were doing bad by the children, but they were not doing enough. And so it really helped me to understand that having good intentions is important, but it's not enough. It's not good enough in most situations. If I, want the absolute best for you, and so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cook you a beautiful meal because you've had a rough week and I want you to feel good and happy. But I neglect to remember that you have a peanut allergy and I make you a peanut Thai sauce out of this world. And I'm like, yeah, I hooked you up. My good intentions are not good enough if you end up in the hospital. Me having the best of intentions, it's not good enough. It does not keep what happened from happening, if that makes sense. So that is something else that I felt was really pertinent in these books, and it really, really helped shape me as an adult to understand that, like, hey, you have to have good intentions, and you also have to have, thoughtfulness, and you also have to have action behind your thoughts. Like, there's a lot that goes with those good intentions. Good intentions alone are simply not good enough. Okay, so let's get into the third life lesson. The third life lesson that I learned from a series of unfortunate events is that bad things happen to good people sometimes. That's a hard pill for us to swallow. We like to think that, if we just do good in this world, that's enough. And the truth is, it simply is not. There is no barometer for perfection that will keep tragedy from befalling you. And that is a hard pill to swallow. It really, really is. But it's the truth. These were three, amazing children who lost their parents in a very tragic way and then went through a series of unfortunate events after that. They hadn't done anything up until this point in their life to deserve, poor treatment, to deserve all the things that happened to them. So, I hope that that speaks to somebody and resonates with somebody that, hey, if you're going through a tough time, push through that and understand that you did not necessarily bring this on yourself. And I'm not saying this to tell people to skirt away from accountability, because sometimes we make some decisions and it's like, okay, this is the consequence of my actions. I get it. But that's not always true. And, life is going to deal you a hand of cards, and that hand of cards is not based on favoritism. So that was an important lesson for me to learn. And the fourth and final lesson that I learned from a series of unfortunate events is probably, not even probably, 100% the most important lesson, and one of the most important lessons that I've learned in my life in general, And it's that people are neither all good or all bad. People are not either villains or heroes. People, the author references people like chef salad. It's a mix of a whole lot of different things. And so, in a series of unfortunate events, you see what starts out as the villain and the good people. It's a very clear distinction. And then over time, that line blurs over the course of the books. So you start to see people who are good, who maybe do something that is not favorable, but if they're doing it for the right reasons, is it still evil? Is it good? Where does it fall? And you even see the main characters do some things that, if you looked at them as isolated incidents, they're not good. But if you look at what led to them and what the intended outcome is, there's some understanding on why those things happened. And so it starts to really show you that nuance, and that there are no people that are 100% good or 100% evil, that there is a mixed bag within all of us. I am not all good or all bad. I hope that I'm more good than bad. It's my hope. I mean, I am bad, but you know what I'm saying. I hope that I am more good than bad in this world. But we all have a measure of good and not so good, or not so favorable in us. And sometimes there's justifications that we can make for why we do the things that we do. And even so, not everyone will understand that. So some people may look at your actions and say, that's bad. It doesn't matter how you try to justify it. And some people will look at your actions and say, that's good, no matter how you try to frame it. And so I think that that's an important life lesson, and it helps us to suspend judgment on another person. And it makes me think of something that I read once that talked about just how we perceive other people versus how we perceive us when it comes to grace. So if I'm on the highway, it's rush hour traffic, and somebody cuts me off, I mean, they almost caused an accident, my initial reaction is probably going to be one of anger. I can't believe they did that. What an idiot. Call them everything but a child of God. But if I am rushing somewhere, there's an emergency, or I'm going to be late for a very important meeting that could change the course of my career, and I happen to jump in front of somebody, I'm always like, so sorry. Oh my goodness. Thank you. So sorry. And I am giving myself some grace, because in my mind, I have a justification for why I've done what I've done, even though it was poor decision making, even though it was a bad thing that I did. And so we have to start operating with other people the way that we would operate with ourselves, where we're understanding, hey, there's a reason I'm doing what I'm doing. And so just to give that little bit of grace to say, like, maybe they're in a rush. Maybe they're on their way to the hospital. Maybe it's an emergency. Maybe something's going on. And just leaving it at that, instead of calling them an idiot and hoping that they run their car into a brick wall. I'm just saying, it's just not really nice. We just, I get it, but we don't have to take it to that level. So I think that understanding that people are just not all good or all bad, and seeing people as human and across a spectrum of humanity really, really changed the game for me. So I love these books, and I love that I get so much from these. Even though they are children's books, children have to learn too. And some of the lessons that children have learned, we bypassed. And so as adults, we need to go back and pick up what they were putting down for the children. So I just wanted to share those gems with you. I hope you took something from it. Comment and let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on any of those lessons, all of those lessons. If you have lessons from your childhood favorite books, what would they be? I look forward to hearing from you. All right. Love you guys. Bye.